crazy.
Just vibe. We're gonna take just a few minutes to let a few more people trickle in, and then we're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty. Now, today, that means we're gonna touch on the transits and elaborate on the aspects that might be affecting you. But then after that, what's up, Ebony? How you doing? Peaceful aura. Let me make you a mod. And look, if you haven't smiled yet today, now would be the perfect time to do so. And if you can't find a smile for yourself, please allow me to be the smile on your face. Because at the end of the day, all I am is the smile on your face. All I am is the motherfucking vibe. Just let it seep in. This is a full moon in Pisces. As a matter of fact, this is a partial lunar eclipse. Yeah. Kiss the moon. There's that cello. Let that full Pisces moon speak to your soul. Like that. Just fine. Licious Booty 07. What a buzz, beautiful. Beats by Blessed on that music. Welcome to the function. We appreciate your contributions. Let that piano speak to your soul. This moon is exactly conjunct my Jupiter. I came to share my gifts. And with my Jupiter in Pisces, I have the gift of understanding. And look, this is priceless knowledge of self. We are the Vibe Tribe. There are thousands of us all over the world. That means we're not thirsty for subscribers or hungry for attention. No. We're here to raise this vibration with knowledge and information. So we're going to talk about astrology and numerology and all types of stuff that help us understand ourself and energy better and thus raise the vibration. And it ain't going to be for everybody. All right? So if you can't handle it, or if you're on some more shit, just swipe up, bitch. Because if you come in on some troll shit or some fuck shit, either myself or one of my constituents, meaning my moderators, are gonna ban you immediately. I'm talking about exile you expeditiously. And it ain't out of hate. No. It's out of love. It's not even indifference today, it's love. We have a vibration to maintain. And when you come in on some hateful shit, you're just excluding yourself from that. So it's on you. Now, what do I want to jam to next? We're still in the vibe. Let's get under the moonlight for this Pisces moon.
3 months and I'm laying 3 to 1. Any takers?
Hit the motherfucking like button if you haven't hit the like button yet.
How did I treat you? Like a water buff dog?
Just fine. Dajana Sturgis. What's up with it, baby? Welcome home. Yeah. take a walk by yourself this evening. Barefoot if possible, as long as there's not a lot of dog shit or anything. But take you a walk barefoot under the moonlight. Some of us are going to be working or dealing with other stuff, so we might not be able to do that. But if you can make the time to do so, I implore you to. This is the harvest moon. So the moon is going to be huge. It's going to be powerful. It's also a partial lunar eclipse. So yeah, it's trying to kiss you on your lips. You hear me? Now, where else do we want to take this? Well, I'll say this. The moon may be in Pisces, but the sun is in Virgo. So this feeling might be fleeting. So what you gotta do is get your motherfucking mind right. I titled this Mind Right. Just fine. Yellow bird, let me tell you, this vibe right here is timeless, spaceless, ageless, priceless. Yeah, absolutely priceless. Is it lagging for anybody else? It's good on my end. You just need to send me an email and I'll send you a price list. Send me an email at mr1300@gmail.com. That's MR TURNER1300@gmail.com. Because I definitely do synastry readings. Now, is the video lagging for anybody else here right now? The reception is good on my end. That's the vibe right there. Now, it's about that time for you to open up your ear and let me crawl into your mind. You did. Just fine. We're getting started in 1 minute. So if you fuck around, now is the time to put some flame to that motherfucker. If you don't let me encourage you. When the moon is in Pisces, music comes to life. Nah, we ain't gonna do that one, Beats. Now let's talk about what's going on. Look, the sun as we speak sits at 25 degrees of Virgo. So let me tell you straight off the rip. There might be some little stuff that comes up. There might be some little stuff that's bothering you. Now, you can either choose to let this get the best of you, or you can choose to get to work. The devil is in the details. Yeah. Can you feel that? Now, you might see yourself getting anxious, maybe even developing some anxiety as this full moon really starts to set in. So you got to make sure that you're doing what's right for you, because this full moon is going to hit everybody differently. But more than anything else, I want you to understand, health is wealth. But your mental health is also key. I know when people say health is wealth, they're usually thinking about their physical health. No, your mental health needs to also be something that's prominent in your life. So you got to give yourself the space you need to process things healthily. Now, look, the sun is opposite the moon. That's what the full moon means. And then we also have this being a partial eclipse, so what that does is magnify the effects that is. So with this right here, give yourself a fucking break. That'll help you give other people a break. I didn't say stop going hard, I mean give yourself a break also. You hear me? Figure out what you need to get your mind right and keep your mind right. Some of us get caught up in endless dissecting and unnecessary worrying. No. With this full moon, with this eclipse, we got to put an end to that. You can let some little stuff bother you so much that it creates anxiety for you. But what is that going to do to help the situation? No, it just further complicates things. But you also have to forgive yourself for being human. You have to forgive other people for being human, because that's all they're ever going to be. We all are unique and have our own unique set of values and principles. With the sun trine to Uranus, you can kind of see that come into play. Everybody ain't the same. Earlier, I actually had a discussion with one of my admins of one of the groups that I'm a part of, because we kind of had a difference in values. And he's not wrong and I'm not wrong. But we both had to let each other know where we stood in the mix to that. See, this is where this came into play. I was raised a certain way and I developed a certain mindset or conditioning that comes from that. Different. As a matter of fact, you can just look at it like this. He's a Libra, I'm a Cancer. So he looks at things objectively. Me, I look at things emotionally. I am a Libra rising, but I'm a Cancer. I just seem cool, but I'm really emotional and I take everything personal. especially business. And what we were speaking on involved my business. But with him looking at things objectively, he doesn't see it like that. Because he looks at this from the perspective of other people. I look at things from the perspective of my emotion and my emotions and my family. And so I look at this in the context of how is this going to affect my bottom line? How is this going to affect my family? And what can I do to protect them from any negative effects that come from that? He looks objectively for the situation. And so I take things to a certain level to where, hey, I feel some type of way. And if I feel some type of way, I'm going to stand on that. He looks at things from a certain perspective as far as things change. People, situations have, what's the word I'm looking for? They have different particulars. And this is very important because you see this come into play. And it wasn't a negative experience. It might have started out as a confrontation between us. You understand? It really did start out as a minor confrontation. I said something, I threw a slug out there. He picked up the slug, which was a slug. He said, hey, man, you made a backhanded comment. And I just, well, it comes from me. It's just like, hey, it wasn't backhanded. I'm speaking on how I feel about something. If that slug hit you, it's because that's how you are. And so we had to have this talk. We had to have this talk and sort things out. And neither one of us changed our stance in the end, but we both understood where the other person is better. And he's not wrong and I'm not wrong. And so that whole situation just taught me a lot about who I am uniquely. It taught me a lot about who he is uniquely. And it made me really take a look at my values. So the sun trine to Uranus can do that. And the moon is going to be pulling on Uranus too with the sextile. So it just kind of hits doubly right there. This full moon is really going to make people really want to give themselves a break and take inventory of everything that they have going on and figure out what they can do to help themselves. What's up, JJ? Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, the sun is opposite to Neptune. So sometimes you just be tripping and both people or yourself in the situation is missing the fucking point. You're sensitive as a motherfucker, but you're missing the whole fucking point of the situation because you're so sensitive. You're making things more complex than they have to be. All right. And you're caught up in the projections and expectations. So the best thing you can do is really find a way that you can look at things rationally. And so even in my situation earlier, I had to separate myself from my emotions. And don't get it twisted, Pisces does represent emotions in a way. But I had to separate myself from that and then look at things from a rational perspective in order to work on something or to fix something. So that was a perfect opportunity for that. But I also look at things because in my natal chart, my sun is opposite to Neptune. But my sun is in Cancer and Neptune is in Capricorn. And so for me with that, a lot of the times my image of myself, my status or my respect that I have for myself, or this callous that I've developed because of the way that I was raised, keeps me from expressing myself genuinely emotionally. Do you understand? See, Neptune is muddling that up. People misinterpret who I am because I misinterpret situations because I look at things from the way that I was raised. And that's what happened with the situation earlier, instead of how I really feel. And I say, hey, no, this is how I was fucking raised. And there's that Neptune and Capricorn. This is how I grew up. We don't play that shit. We don't do this. We come from a different, you know how all of us old school motherfuckers do it. And so I kind of look at things, but I really feel things deeply. I really have compassion. I really want to help people. But there's times where I separate myself from that because I want to appear a certain way that's calloused or tough or obstinate, because I know my sensitivities are so strong. And when it boils down to it, it's all fucking sensitivity, because I'm sensitive to myself and I'm sensitive to other people's feelings. Now, in this situation with the sun being opposite to the moon today, I mean, to Neptune. It's opposite to the moon and Neptune, which this full moon is. That's interesting because this is only going to actually develop more and more after we get through the full moon. And so this is going to go on until tomorrow, basically, until early in the morning. And so what this ultimately ends up happening is as the sun tightens up in this opposition to Neptune, you know, people get caught up in the culture or people's opinions or how they feel about a situation, which is muddling up their decision-making process. So you have to really give yourself the space you need to think rationally. Because when it's not too analytical and critical and technical, that Virgo energy is very rational. That's why Mercury is not only in domicile there, but it's also exalted there traditionally. It's about understanding, hey, this is the most rational mindset that you can have. It's calculated. So you have to understand, you can't dismiss Neptune. Neptune is not bad. You can't dismiss the moon. You're not supposed to. What you have to do is incorporate your empathy into every situation, but also have sympathy for yourself. All right? But don't be a victim. Do what you can to work on things. It's a delicate process. Now, yeah, I know it. The sun is also trine to Pluto now. And so as the sun comes into this trine with Pluto, this is actually beautiful because this gives you all the energy you need to get to work. Yeah, it's earth energy, so it ain't gonna be the most intense experience emotionally. But what this can do is put a lot of pressure on you. The sun trine to Pluto, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on you because you have responsibilities to yourself, to your family, to your wealth, to your business. And so with this right here, you can only do what you can do. So as things start to stress, you need to do what you can do, but also remember that you can only do what you can do. See, this is all, like I said, a very delicate process. So work on what you can. But also understand there might be some things that are outside of your control. And that's where we have to really reassess the illusion of control that a lot of us have about a lot of things. See how all that works together to present this full moon effect? Because the truth of the matter is, you also have a responsibility to yourself, to your health. When you see this trine between the sun and Pluto and it being, and Uranus too, it being an earth trine. When you see this sun being trine to Uranus, then trine to Pluto, and it being Virgo, Taurus, and Pisces. I mean, not Pisces, Capricorn, pardon me. It's more or less like, hey, you got to chill out and work on what you can work on, but let the rest go with itself. And understand you also have a responsibility to yourself. And health is wealth. But with the moon being in Pisces and coming into this eclipse mode, it's not just about your physical well-being. It's also about your mental health. People really trip out with this illusion of control. You control your perspective. You control your will. But there are definitely external existential circumstances. This full moon, I'm letting you know, it's really, really imploring you to give yourself the space you need to assess your mental health, take inventory of where you are in your life. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. Pluto is sitting there at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So if you're discontented about a situation or a relationship or a behavior, What are you gonna do about it? That's the question. Now, let's talk about the moon. Because as we speak, the moon is at 22 degrees of Pisces. Now, I love that because my Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Pisces in my 6th house. So for me, I do need to address my mental health, because that will parlay out into my physical well-being. Now, just a second. Now, sorry, I had to answer a client. And I will answer Aisha in just a second. As a matter of fact, I can answer right now. Now, look, the moon being in Pisces makes people extra sensitive to everything. It's empathy and emotion without boundaries. Sometimes you're feeling shit that don't even belong to you. It's the mood of the moment. It's the temperature of the motherfucking times. So, man, you can get caught up in that. You can let it fuck with you. You can really develop delusions or illusions, like control, like a situation being better or worse than it actually is, like a person being somebody that they're actually not capable of being. And so the best thing to do with the moon in Pisces is take a step back and assess what you need to do for you. Give yourself the best buffer possible between yourself and all of this stuff that you're feeling. That means, hey, you can't help how you feel, but you are able to affect how you react to those feelings. Do you feel me? Make sure y'all hit the like button if you're here and you haven't hit it yet before I get mad and go home. All right, JJ. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, man, the moon in Pisces is the motherfucker. Then the moon is square to Jupiter right now, sextile to Uranus, conjunct to Neptune, and sextile to Pluto. Like, seriously. This full moon is doing a lot. Now, it's definitely gonna separate itself as far as with Jupiter over the next few hours. Thank God. It's gonna move away from that square with Jupiter as soon as it comes into its actually fullness, or that eclipse mode that it's gonna come into. All right. And so, this is where the shit gets crazy. With this moon square to Jupiter, you could be worrying too much, thinking too much. You could have yourself going in circles. You could be letting your imagination get the best of you, and that shit right there is addicting. Take it from me. I imagine some crazy ass shit sometimes. I sit up and let my thoughts get the best of me. let my feelings become a stress to me. Because I stifle them, I don't express them. Yeah. See, here's the thing. This is Pisces and Gemini, and this is only going to be for probably, as far as the moon square to Jupiter, another couple of hours. And so this energy can definitely be chaotic for a little bit. But the gift that Pisces does have is understanding. So as it develops and gets more full, you will get an understanding. Now, sometimes an understanding can come as a revelation. No. You know what I say? I look at it as a realization. You realize what the fuck is going on. You realize you ain't no motherfucking victim. And you're not. Energy is just doing what energy does. But all of us have developed this illusion of control. Now, this right here is a full moon. It's a release. You don't need to hold it. You need to release it. You ain't gonna be able to escape it. You can't ignore it. You can't avoid it. No, not with Saturn being in Pisces too. No. You got to release it. So tonight, as this full moon develops, you got to release it. Give yourself the space you need to get your motherfucking mental health right. Get your motherfucking mind right. Before you be stuck, fucked up, looking at things in hindsight. You also need to sort out what's yours and what belongs to you and what's just a vibe. Yeah, these feelings are mine, right?
Perfect.
Do you feel me? Just let it seep in. Now, the moon is sextile to Uranus. So if you can just chill, you might be able to get yourself some clarity. You might be able to calm yourself down. You might actually be able to make your situation better. But with the moon also coming into this conjunction with Neptune, oh, that imagination can get the best of you. Oh, that sensitivity can be crippling. It can happen. So if you can find some type of way to channel this creatively or to center yourself, or if anything else, just express it, release it. That'll be beautiful. That's why I said the best thing that anybody can do this evening is, if you can get by some water, that's great too. But go take a walk under the moonlight, barefoot if possible, as long as you ain't stepping in no dog shit. Yeah. Do that for you. Get your motherfucking mental health right. Now, the moon is also sextile to Pluto, but Pluto's retrograde in Capricorn. So like I said, this is real easy for you to stress yourself out, or you can understand you have a responsibility to yourself. You can release that illusion of control. You understand? That means there's some stuff you can take care of and you can get to work on that, but there's some stuff that is outside of your control. As a matter of fact, there's some shit that doesn't even belong to you. You have a responsibility to yourself to sort that out. I don't think you hear me though. Now, let's talk about Mercury. Because we have a whole bunch of Virgo and Pisces energy going on. See, Mercury is at 14 degrees of Virgo. So what that does is make people very analytical. But when you're so analytical, you can become very critical. You can look at everything technically. And that's great if you're trying to do a job perfectly. But it's a little hard when you're dealing with other human beings. And then Mercury's opposite to Saturn, so people are going to be taking criticisms very seriously. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be harder to concentrate with Mercury opposite to Saturn, and Mercury being in Virgo and Saturn being in Pisces. It's like you have these worries that kind of kick in and they slow you down because you start to dwell on it a little bit. But I can also say anything that you try to do creatively right now can be awesome. If you can just take this feeling that you're getting and then you can convey it into some type of creative endeavor or just channel how you're feeling into your work. This could actually be very, very, very productive for you. I'm not going to say profitable or prosperous, but Virgo can be very productive. Capricorn can be profitable. Taurus can be prosperous. Do you understand? I'm teaching you a little something. It's Tuesday. I'm teaching you a little something. Hold on. Let me think. I gotta answer Sholani for you real fast. Shout out to Matangi Metaphysical. That's Sholani. She does amazing oils. She's working on developing her acumen as far as Vedic astrology, but man, she also does energy work in some capacities too. But I'm telling you that when it comes to her oils, I've heard nothing but raving reviews. All right, she does moon oil, Mercury oil, Mars oil, all of that stuff that can really, really help you get into the right vibe. So if you're not on it yet, look up Matangi, Matangi Metaphysical. All right?
This is crazy.
Perfect.
I got you. Hold on. If you haven't hit that motherfucking like button, you need to hit that like button right now. If you haven't hit the motherfucking CashApp or the super sticker or the super thanks or the super chat, you out of line. Hold on. Because this is priceless. And I have a quota that I'm trying to make for YouTube. Hold on. I'll be right back. Let me finish this. Now, here's the thing. You could also be worried about some small shit. With Mercury in Virgo, opposite to Saturn in Pisces, you could be stressing about some small shit, and that makes you inefficient. Yeah, it makes you inefficient. And that's on you. It's either you too fucking technical, you're trying too fucking hard. That's an issue too. It's hard to get into that flow state. Or your imagination is running away with you. It's just your imagination once again running away with you. Just a second. Does anybody have anything they want to ask before we go on to Venus? But let me finish this text real quick. Sorry, y'all. Now, sorry, I had to do this. Let's talk about Venus. Because Venus is at 23 degrees of Libra now, so we're away from that 22nd degree, thank God. We're off that critical degree. But that does bring us to the fact that Venus is still in Libra. Now, Venus is at home in Libra, so this is great for Venus in a way. But here's the thing. People really become enamored with other people. People really care about people's opinions with Venus in Libra, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. People are very tolerant. Harmony is definitely a precedent. But I'll also say, with Venus in Libra, it can be vain, superficial, two-faced even. Alright. And with Venus in Libra, the appearance of things definitely is something that matters. Now, I'll also say that people are going to be listening to other people. I'm grateful that Venus is in Libra, because if I didn't have that altercation earlier while Venus is in Libra, it probably would have went a whole different way. But both of us were very civil to each other. We had a confrontation, but we were both respectful and civil. We talked it out like gentlemen, and neither one of us, like I said, changed our stance at all. He still feels how he feels, and I still feel how I feel. And with Venus opposite to Chiron, it's going to be like that. It's like, man, you're going to have to stand on business at some point. And hopefully you can stand on business in a way that, you know, doesn't cause some major conflict in your life. But if it does, you have to be ready for that. And this also gives you an awareness of who you are. And it lets other people know where you stand. Sometimes it takes some honesty. Like, to be honest, I've been feeling some type of way about my boy for a while. And maybe he thinks I feel some type of way about him, or he feels some type of way about me. But it really gave us a chance to put things into perspective for both of us. Like, hey, no, this is where I stand, and this is how I feel about you. I mean, it is what it is, but there also was something that was gained from that. Just a second, let me send this price. I gotta send this text. I know I'm a slow texter. I'm sorry. I'm old. This is business. I need this business. Anyway, that's it. Venus is also trine to Jupiter, so, and that's just for today. It's gonna move away from this trine tomorrow, but this ultimately is very sociable. It's fun, it's communicative, but it's not the most honest energy. This is still Libra and Gemini. And so people are gonna be talking to people and carrying on, and there's gonna be stuff said, but a lot of the time it's not expressing the actual factual truth. It's what sounds good. It's sweet nothings. You hear me? But you better be careful, because with Venus trine to Jupiter, motherfuckers will charm you out of your motherfucking drawers today. Hold up, I got it. Oh, never mind. Yeah. I'll tell you this. As far as Vedic astrology, the moon is in Purva Parvadra Nakshatra, and that actually is very fiery. I want you to understand that it's very fucking fiery. It's spiritual, it's intuitive, it's all of this stuff, but this right here is dynamic energy. And Mercury, I think Mercury is at 14 degrees of Virgo. I think it may be in Maga. It may be in Maga. But that means it's opposite to Purva Pravadra or Atura Pravadra. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Mercury's opposite to Saturn. Venus is trying to Jupiter. Venus is in Chitra Nakshatra. And that means Chiron is in Ashwini. Asia Kumar, you said with your moon being in Leo, how is this moon affecting your energy? Not bad, not subtly. Let's say those words, subtly, because you are in an inconjunction or a quincux between Pisces and Leo, and so this would be a more subtle effect. It doesn't mean it's not affecting you, because there's other stuff that's affecting you. You got to look at what the Venus could be doing here for you. You could be looking at what Uranus might be doing. Chiron. Pardon me. Shout out to Brazil and everybody in Brazil. And then let me send this to Sholani. Hold on. So you're definitely being affected. I gotta send my cash out. Anyway, yeah, all of that is probably affecting you, but the full moon is probably not hitting you that hard. For me, it's hit me because it's right there on my Jupiter. Now, Venus opposite to Chiron, though, that is kind of where you see that the best thing for your relationships is self-awareness. Honesty and self-awareness. This is who I am for real. So many people get caught up in facades. And so you're responsible for your part in that. You being self-aware and being honest. That's the best thing for your relationships. Now, that brings us to Mars. Mars is at 7 degrees of Cancer. So people take everything fucking personally. This shit is emotional, it's passive aggressive, it's sensitive. So it's not exactly the most stable energy, or it's not exactly the easiest expression of Mars either. Mars's easiest expression is Aries or Scorpio, but Aries mostly. It's immediate, it's impulsive, it's reactive. See, Cancer isn't like that. It kind of has to go through all of this emotion, all of this water, and that bogs it down. It also frustrates situations because the emotions always have to be compensated for, so it complicates things. It's always personal. It's never just business. And that's fucking dumb. Hold on. Now, here's the thing. Mars is square to the black moon Lilith and T-square to both the north and the south node. So Mars is just getting in the way of progress. It's complicating your relationships and it's complicating your life, period. There's a conflict with what you need to be doing as far as the north node being in Aries. You're so fucking emotional and you take things so personal that there's nothing that's quick. And you're also being passive aggressive. You're taking things to heart and you're letting it fucking settle down in there. And when you let that shit settle down in there, it just makes things more complicated. Your feelings can also keep you from being objective. It can fuck with your relationships because you take everything personally. When Mars is in Cancer, people kind of see everything as a personal attack that they have to respond to or react to. Just a second. This is the last one. Now, let's look at Jupiter. Jupiter is at 20 degrees of Gemini. And Jupiter is actually getting ready to station itself. Sometime soon, in the next few weeks, Jupiter is going to station retrograde. And that's when all hell's going to break loose. That shit's going to get chaotic. Now, it hasn't quite stationed yet, but it is slowing down. It is in that pre-retrograde shadow phase that a lot of people like to call them. So it's starting to slow down. And so it's going to spend a little bit more time on each one of these degrees. And look, this is the thing. This is Gemini energy. And so when you see something like Jupiter sit in one place for too long, this is where, just like with Gemini being like a badass little kid. What happens when a badass little kid gets bored? They get antsy and then mischief ensues. This is what Jupiter ends up doing. Is Jupiter's here in Gemini, and as it starts to slow down, it gets antsy. It's not progressing and moving quickly like Gemini needs to move quickly. And so what it does is it spends a little bit too much time in each place, and so it becomes chaotic, conflicted, mischievous, troublesome, messy, sloppy. Now, ultimately, this is a great time for communication. People are going to be loving to talk and wanting to talk. It's a perfect time for writing, reading. It's the perfect time to pick up some type of new learning process or what's the word I'm looking for? I forgot the word I was looking for. But anyway, This is going to be very stimulating. It's going to be very interesting. But it is also going to be fucking messy. It is not a coincidence that we're going through this election process in the United States and Jupiter's in Gemini. It's not a fucking coincidence that Uranus is in Taurus, sextile to Neptune, and trine to Pluto as we go through this right here. There are big time changes that are on the horizon, and people are getting so caught up in everything that's said that it's real hard to separate what's real from what isn't. Just a mere use of words can change it. Like when they say Donald Trump had another assassination attempt, that is not true or accurate. Someone was at his rally with a gun. That individual was arrested for possession of a weapon. They've never took a shot at Trump, and if nobody knows if they were going to or not because they got him beforehand. There was just a person there with a weapon that was arrested. But when people use the word another assassination attempt, it paints things in a certain light. When Donald Trump says something like, I got shot, instead of saying someone shot at me and I was hit by some glass from a teleprompter, or just saying somebody shot at him, it changes the narrative because now he's a victim. I was shot. And it implies something worse than it could ever be because there's not even a small piece missing out of his ear. So there's no way you were shot by a bullet. Especially a 223 caliber. It's just no way. But the play on words is at play. And they do the same thing as far as the Democratic Party. When they had the debate, Kamala Harris was doing a whole bunch of arguing, but she was talking around all of the topics. Now, Trump didn't, he lost the debate. Let's not get that twisted. He lost that fucking debate, no matter who you're fucking going for. But she also did, she danced around a lot of key issues by talking at him and by using those court tactics that she's been utilizing for whoever knows how long, being the prosecutor that she is. She knows how to pin you to the motherfucking wall. And so all of that shit right there just puts things into perspective because both parties are promising things that are not realistic. That's the truth of it all. They're offering something that is completely unrealistic, especially in a 4-year process. All right. And then when people take things and run with them, there's a whole bunch of misinformation that gets spread around. And so this is how people say, well, this is what happened, or this is what's said, and then people say this and people say that. And if I tell you something and you tell Peaceful Aura, and Peaceful Aura tells Asia, and they tell Joe, and they tell Licious Booty 07, and they tell Watkins Cat House, and they tell people so on and so forth, by the time it gets back to me, it's going to be a completely different story. I'm talking a completely different story. This is what happens. And social media is just a whole bunch of people relaying shit that they heard or somebody else said. And then people will say, well, I'm going to Google it. Well, the problem is nobody holds Google to a standard because nobody understands that Google is just a collection of excerpts and articles. It's excerpts from books and it's articles. and it's things said on website. When you Google something, all you're getting is the answer that was said in this specific place. You're getting an excerpt from a book. You're getting an article from a magazine. You're getting something from a website that claims to have facts. Yeah. And sometimes it's spot on, but other times you have to learn how to develop some discernment for your motherfucking self. You did. I don't think you hear me though. And then that brings us to Saturn. And Saturn is sitting at where is Saturn sitting? Saturn is sitting at 15 degrees of Pisces. And so look, I'm not gonna get into the whole fucking process of me preaching to you about what Saturn is. And look, this is just a time where you need to allow yourself to put things into perspective, because you've already been through this before. Whatever you're feeling right now about life, you've actually felt this before. All right, and you're gonna feel it again. So you need to identify wherever this is coming from, why you're feeling this type of way, and that gives you the best chance of processing it healthily moving forward, because we've already seen this stretch of degrees. Whatever Saturn is affecting right now, it's already affected this just a few months ago. Saturn went over these degrees, it's stationed retrograde, it's now coming back over these degrees. When it stations direct again, it's going to go back over these degrees. And so when you look at this from a retrograde perspective, it's just telling you, hey, look inside. Because it starts with the feeling. Figure out where this feeling has come from. Identify it. And then that gives you the chance that you need to figure out if you can do something for it. Now, because sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You just have to express how you feel. You just have to deal with it. Other times there's actually stuff that you can do to help alleviate the pain. Playing victim ain't gonna do it. Not with Saturn and Pisces. You're not a fucking victim. You're just a part of the process. There's no such thing as a victim of circumstance. Because karma is not consequence. Karma is just a process playing out. When they say people, they're going to get their karma, they don't even know what they're saying. Because karma happens. Karma is conscience free. It's just a process. When it's like, oh, what goes around comes around. People are saying that in something that's vindictive. They say what goes around comes around. They say that because they see somebody that they feel like deserves it is getting it. But the truth of the matter is, what goes around does come around, but it doesn't come around harder than it went around. Now, what can happen is there can be a whole bunch of going arounds that come around all at once, and it seems heavier. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. But it's all really just determined through your perspective, because sometimes, even if it's the worst, you have to look at this as an opportunity. You have to develop faith regardless. You have compassion for other people. You also need to have compassion for yourself. You're just a human being that's living out a process. You understand? Some of those are biological processes. That's why people have illnesses. Some of those are emotional processes. That's why love can sometimes hurt the way that it does. Some of them are spiritual processes. It's understanding that, hey, death is a part of life. And death is the destination for all of us. So all this trying to be something, it's irrelevant and pointless, because you are something. Do you understand? You are something. You need to live a purposeful life. And so that's all of that with Saturn and Pisces. Now, Uranus is at 27 degrees of Taurus retrograde until January 30th. And man, this is Uranus in Taurus. So what better time for you to take a step back and reassess where you stand in life? Because no, we don't live in stable times, but you can find a secure place for you to operate from, and that's not something you're going to find externally. It's something you have to develop for yourself. And that means different things to each one of us. Once you're able to get yourself into a secure operating place, you need to really take this time to take inventory of who you are and what you have to work with moving forward, both emotionally and materially. All right. You also need to assess where you stand morally, because I guarantee your values have changed over the last few years. And that could happen for a multitude of reasons. But you need to see where you stand. All right. But you also need to ask what you're willing to sacrifice, and what are you willing to do to make money? Because I guarantee you that has changed in the last few years as well. Ultimately, what you're willing to do to make money has probably changed drastically over the last few years. Your values, period, have changed. What you see as valuable has changed. You need to see what the fuck you have to work with and who you are. Figure out where you stand. Now, that's interesting because Uranus is sextile to Neptune. So here's the thing. We're influenced by all types of stuff. Money influences the culture. The economy is going to influence people's decision-making process as far as politically. This is a perfect example of this. But also look at the way that the culture is. Money is idealized. Yes, we need it to survive. But there's also a lot that people can learn in the way of what's the word I'm looking for? Solidarity, your values. See, just because this is the way that things are doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice who you are morally. Just because this is what the culture deems as acceptable, that doesn't mean you have to, and you have to assess your own values. You understand? Who are you uniquely? How do you become solid in that? Instead of always parlaying your energy into people's projections and expectations. You feel me? Just a second. But yeah, all of that. And then with Uranus trying to Pluto, This is where the frustration comes from. The frustration comes from the financial situation. This is truth. All over the world. The wars and the tension between certain countries has really messed up the import-export business. As far as us here in America, people's opinion of what's valuable changes drastically all the time. So the market is unstable. And people's opinions are very powerful because people can get behind something and they can cancel your ass just like that. Or people can find something out about you and people can become enamored with you and you can become a commodity, something that actually pays. All right? But with this being Taurus and Capricorn, this also means that people get frustrated with the economy. People get frustrated with what's going on financially. You see people saying stuff like this: I don't give a fuck about a debate, or I don't give a fuck about 34 felonies. I know what I see when I go to grocery shopping, or when I go to fill up my gas tank, when I got to pay my mortgage. I'm making my decision based off of that. And so there's this discontent, this frustration that kicks in. And you also have to understand, when you're hungry and you don't have enough, you got to look at it from a Capricorn perspective. It becomes a dog-eat-dog world. You become a wolf of Wall Street. You start to think, man, how do I survive? And so you get stuck in this stubborn mindset. And that can be both a gift and a curse. Now, Neptune is at 28 degrees of Pisces, retrograde until December 7th. So, look, you're starting to see things differently. And that can be for better or for worse. Maybe you're in a place where you're depressed because you see the world as being as a cold place because you realize how fucked up things are. Or maybe you realize you've been idealizing somebody in your life. Maybe you realize that you've been seeing things, you know, through rose-colored glasses. There's all types of things that came from this. But then you start to realize, damn, like, I was tripping. But as you're tripping, you start to confuse yourself even more because you start to question, like, damn, how could I be so dumb? Or how could it be like this? Or why is everything so fake? Right? And everybody's just projecting shit onto each other. Somebody could say anything about you nowadays and you have to defend yourself. And people still won't believe you. Sometimes you can start talking and somebody won't believe that you are you. Because some people might be playing somebody else. It's like nothing is fucking real anymore. Hell, real ain't even real anymore. So because of that, you can't trust anything. You can't trust anything you hear or anything you see, but what you can trust is how you feel. Because how you feel is the only thing that is real. So you have to let that inner compass be your guide. You know, as I've said 1,000 times, you know that main line to the divine that resides inside. That's what you gotta trust. We all have it. Some people ignore it. Some people are confused by it. Some people are scared of it. But you have it. You might not can trust anything you see or anything you hear, but you can trust how you feel. Because that's the only thing that's real. with Neptune and Pisces, you need to start looking internally for answers. People forget that spirituality is not just a fad. It's about your own personal inner journey. It's your relationship with divinity. People get caught up in the labels. That's the society that we've created. These are the projections and expectations. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. You can't be this because you're that. And you start to see all this and people forget that it's about your own personal inner journey. People get so caught up in the labels and the expectations, they forget what it's about. No. You can't do that to yourself. Now, that brings us to Pluto. Pluto's at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and this is, like I've said at least 20 times, the anorexic anoretic is what I call it. That means this is as frustrated and as hungry as it gets. But when you're frustrated or you're hungry like that, that's when you're the most ambitious. You know, when boxers or athletes say, I'm trying to stay hungry. This 29th degree of Capricorn is as hungry as it gets. It's willful, but it's also frustrated, disenchanted, discontented. Hell, Neptune sextile to Pluto is definitely disenchanted with life and with people, with social media, with Facebook groups, with their partners. People become disenchanted, like, man, this ain't it. It just ain't fucking it. And so that's the type of feeling that breeds change in our lives. That discontent that grows. It's like, you know what, we got to do something differently. Drastically. Shaw Edwards, or Joe Edwards, Jordan. I'm a Jordan guy. Now, Chiron is at 22 degrees of Aries. As I said earlier, you just have to allow this awareness that you have right now help you hold yourself accountable, and that leads to growing and healing. And then the Black Moon Lilith is at 8 degrees of Libra. So yeah, people are superficial. People are going to be two-faced. People are going to be a part of a relationship so bad that they don't respect yours. This is where that stupid shit happens, where motherfuckers are breaking up happy homes. I've seen it in real life, and some of y'all have experienced it, and some of y'all are like that. You're just not going to admit it. But I've literally seen people I know just go fucking jump into a relationship with a motherfucker that's already in a relationship. Basically. Like, man, like, and you think this shit is going to be better after this motherfucker did it to you. Like, that shit's crazy. You can see people who are just suckers for pretty faces right now, too. You can see people smiling in people's face but want to take their place. I'm talking about backstabbers. You're going to see people killing people with kindness. They're being polite, but they're really plotting their destruction. You're going to see some indecisiveness too. This is the Black Moon Lilith in Libra. Some superficiality. Some fence riding. Some motherfucking fence riding. Nah, pick a side, motherfucker. Yeah. Now, the North Node is at 6 degrees of Aries, so the South Node is at 6 degrees of Libra. And so with this, people are just too caught up in other people's opinion. They're over conciliatory. They're easily influenced. And no, sometimes you got to take care of yourself. And that doesn't mean neglect other people. It means understanding, hey, you're responsible for your life. So you got to do what's right for you. Regardless of what anybody thinks about that. And also understand if what you're doing is hurting somebody else, then you might need to reassess what you're doing. And that takes an honest awareness. Be straight up. Being impulsive works right now. Trust your gut instinct and move forward accordingly. Stay honest, genuine. Even if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. Because it might cause some discontent in the short run, but it'll give you greater peace of mind and more respect for yourself in the long run. That means, hey, experience your truth as a verb. Do that for the both of us. For both of us. Now, as far as the numerology of the day, we're in a 7 vibration with an 8 connotation. So this is a very serious energy. Oh. See, the 7 in numerology, I would say it's a mix of Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Pisces energy. All right. And the 7 is very serious, but it's also very spiritual. But it can be isolating. See, there's this thing about knowing that's really cool. But when you start to understand, that's when things really, really change. To know is one thing, to understand is another. It's funny that we have this going on this full moon today. So what better time for you to develop an understanding? Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm capable of. This is what's my responsibility. This what isn't. I don't think you hear me though. Now that's all I got to say about that, y'all. I know it took me a while, and really I can go longer than that. But that's all of the transits. That's everything that's going on as far as the aspects that might be affecting you. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. So, if you have anything that you need to get off your chest or you want to discuss, let's discuss it right now. I might be here tomorrow, but I can't guarantee it. So whatever we need to speak on, we need to speak on.
This is crazy.
Perfect.
I've been quiet for some days. Hey, let me let my dog in real fast. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let my dog in. One minute.
This is crazy.
Perfect.
Did that really happen? I know he got arrested, but I mean, are you playing? I mean, he was going to be denied bail because he's a flight risk. He can just get up and jump on a plane and go to a different country. So he's definitely going to... I definitely see why they would deny him bail. When you have a private jet that you can just jump on and fly to anywhere in the world. And passports with stamps. It's real easy for you to go somewhere where they don't extradite. But it's crazy that he got arrested on the eve of that full moon. Or when we're in that full moon energy. That's crazy. I definitely took note of that. Especially when it's opposite his moon. He's a Virgo moon. Scorpio sun, Virgo moon. And so it happens. To all of us. Oh yeah, he's out of there. Yeah, they're gonna dog him. He's about to get the same treatment that R. Kelly got. Let me tell you. If the feds come to get you with a sealed indictment, that means they already got you. They already have witnesses. They already have a case against you. It's over with for you. The feds do not come with a sealed indictment unless they already got you. This ain't the state government. This is the federal government. And those United States attorneys are not going to come get you unless they have a for sure case. So yes, Diddy is in trouble. Sorry, I had to eat that. I haven't eaten anything all day. Yeah, your boy Diddy is in major trouble. Oh, he can tell on a lot of stuff. I want you to understand why they're getting Diddy. It's not like the same thing as R. Kelly. All right. They had a whole bunch of victims make that documentary about R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly, or whatever the fuck it was. Right? Here's the thing though. They did that in the public sphere to where they had to get R. Kelly. With Diddy, he's not brought up for beating Cassie. All right, he's not. They didn't bring him up on charges of beating Cassie, which we all saw. They're bringing him up on sexual charges and trafficking. All right. And here's what Diddy did. Diddy had cameras in all of those parties. That's why they raided his house. At all of those crazy sex parties and all the kinky shit he did, he had cameras videoing all of it. Pardon me. And so he has some powerful people on camera doing some freaky ass shit. And so with that, hey, we're gonna go ahead and get you up out of here, player. He himself has done crazy shit too, but more than anything else, Diddy has people who are higher up than him in life and powerful people, whether it be politicians or friends or powers that be, doing some freaky ass shit. And so what they did was raid him to see what evidence he has. But through that, they were able to build a case against him that goes ahead and allows them to get him out of the way. Like, it is what it is. And for him beating on that woman like that, I got no sympathy for him. I don't give a fuck what color his skin is, because that's what you're gonna hear is they're just trying to take a black man down. Diddy is a perfect example of what happens when a Scorpio gets too much money. Junior! Sorry, there's my son. Take him out, baby. Hey, what is wrong with you?
My allergies.
Are you sure?
Yeah, these are allergies.
Hold up. Let me call your mama. Stay right here. You look so bad, baby. Everything is swollen. Hold on. Do you have a fever?
No.
Have you been coughing?
Not that much.
Your face is swollen. Oh my God. Hold on, y'all. Baby. Peter, his face looks crazy. Josiah. It's all swollen. His eyes are all swollen. His no. I don't know. Have you ate something that you've never had before, son? Like his eye, his left eye is all swollen. His both of his eyes are red. His lips are swollen. His face is swollen. He's talking about. He said these are just my allergies. But that shit don't look like no allergies. All right, bring another one of them test homes for that. It looks like he has pink eye. God damn. No. Just a second, y'all. Alright, I need to find this Benadryl real fast. And I'm on live. We'll figure it out, but they still haven't said anything about the car. I don't know. No, come here, son. I need to take a picture for mama. Ooh, both of your eyes are caked up. You been rubbing your eyes?
They're empty.
I ain't never seen you look like that. That shit looks crazy. Hold on. Chief. Asking what? Are you having a hard time swallowing? Or is your throat scratchy? Can you breathe fine?
Yeah.
Hold on, Heater. Alright, I'm finna send you this picture. Hold up. His eyes are just real red. It's not letting me, it did not take the picture. Hold on. Ooh, you look like your brother. Hold on. I can't hear you. I'm trying to take a picture of him. He still stop rubbing your eyes, bro. You need to take a shower. Wash your hands.
Should I take a shower?
Yeah, you got pink eye.
Okay, I'm gonna take a shower. Like, should I take a shower?
in both eyes. All right. Yeah, both of his eyes are just oozing pus.
Should I go take a shower?
Go wash your hands. All right. Yeah, but he's. I mean, both of them motherfuckers are pink as fuck. All right. Pink eye. That's what I think. In both eyes.
Should I go take a shower now?
Yeah, go take a shower. You got my eye itching. Something with that dog. You done got yourself pink eye, son, probably. That don't look like allergies to me. Is your nose running?
Stop.
All right, Daddy. I love you. Take a shower. And they got my eye itching. Good Lord. Man, that shit looks crazy. Fuck around with the dogs. Fuck around with the dog. You can't be touching the dog's ass and touching your face or any of that shit. Like, you can't do that. Something. Or he got it from some kid at school. But that's what it looks like, pink eye in both eyes. And he's just rubbing both of them. He spread one to the other one by rubbing that, the one that was affected in the first place. Broke my heart, my baby. He catches everything, though. He's a Virgo moon. He catches everything. In the 6th house. I think his moon is in the 6th house. Might be in the 7th house. That's possible too. He's the nastiest of my kids. It's crazy, man. That's my heart. I don't like seeing my baby like that. Then I gotta figure out what to do for dinner. Fuck. It's my baby. Everything got to. Anyway, the floor is open for whatever we need to discuss from this point further for another 30 minutes or an hour. Who knows? I'm not sure yet. But probably an hour. Just make sure you're respectful of me. Hit that super sticker, that super thanks, or that super chat. I don't know, but I don't want it. I love him, I feel for him, but I'm the type, I hate fucking, I do not want that shit. So he better keep his little dirty hand ass over there. Now, usually parents don't get it because we're better at washing our hands and things like that, but he definitely is a usual suspect for that type of behavior. I said, what's wrong with you? He says, just my allergies. There ain't no fucking allergies. That wouldn't just happen out of the blue one time. He would be having that your whole life, like all the time. Well, you remember that they said when COVID first came, people were getting pink eye. That was actually, that was one of the symptoms of that first wave of COVID. I hope it ain't a symptom of this wave. Have to hit him. Y'all been quiet the last couple of days. I don't even know, because I've given y'all a chance to ask questions yesterday and today. Yesterday I deleted it because it just wasn't as fluid as I wanted it to be. Today everything has been all right, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not considered the common cold. It's a lot worse. I don't want it. I can't have either. I already have throat issues. Fuck that. Mars in Taurus trine Mars in Capricorn in the synastry chart. That's fucking sexy. It's sensual and indulgent and patient, and it's determined. It has stamina. All of that shit. That shit's gonna go for a long ass time. But I can also say that those are both two very willful people. And the Mars in Capricorn person, there's going to be some instances where that Mars in Capricorn person is not going to be as patient as that Mars in Taurus person. That Mars in Capricorn person is going to want to force things, and that could cause some frustration. But ultimately, it's great for them. It's great for them sexually, and it's also great for them as far as them working things out, because they're both patient. But there's going to be some times where Mars in Capricorn is going to want to force something. That's what's up. That's what's up. You said, is that because Mars is exalted in Capricorn? Maybe, but Mars, yeah, but just Capricorn in its own right is like, you want to make something happen. You make something out of nothing. You want to make something happen. And Mars in Taurus is like, I want to keep what I have. It'll spin too, but it's more or less like keeping what you have. This is cardinal and fixed. So the cardinality of Capricorn makes it want to force something. It's more action oriented. And so the other one is more determination as far as Taurus. And so there just might get to a point where Mars and Taurus might seem lazy to the Mars in Capricorn, or it might seem like they're too patient or they're too slow. And so Mars in Capricorn is like, nah, you got to make shit happen. We're going to make this happen. You said, will this eclipse have an impact on Sag risings at all? It could. It could if it's in those later degrees. If it's anywhere between 22 and 27 degrees, yeah, it can definitely have an effect. But I mean, it's an eclipse. It's going to have an effect on everybody in a way. Just how it affects you is really up to you. It's touching a lot of stuff in the sky, so. It can. It really, really can. Damn. Ooh-wee. My baby got the double pink. Taurus rising in eclipse vibes, sleepy vibes, chill vibes, comfort. You need to, comfort yourself the way that Taurus loves to. This is a sextile, so, and it's a trine and a sextile. So, the best thing you can do is enjoy yourself, enjoy the process of life, and comfort yourself in this process. And so make sure that you're eating good, but eating good and healthy. Making sure you're happy. All of that. So with what it's making contacts with, do you think as a whole it'll be easier or harder living in 6 months? It'll be the same. It'll be the same. It's about perspective. I will say that this eclipse is setting off a whole bunch of shit with whatever we have going on for all of us, There's a lot fucking going on. There's things going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of feminine energy with this. And we're about to shift into a masculine era, but there's a lot of really feminine energy going on behind the scenes when you look at it with all of this Virgo, Pisces, Taurus, Capricorn energy. All right, now Venus is in Libra, but Venus is only going to be in Libra for another week, and then Venus is going to shift into Scorpio. And Venus happens to be in detriment in Scorpio. And then Mars is in Cancer, and we can't forget that, so that's feminine. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You understand that? I'm just saying this energy, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a lot going on internally, too. And all types of things are being called into play and into question here. So yeah. This is what it is. There's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. And then with this making contacts with your Sagittarius rising, this is the Pisces is square. It's Virgo. It's a T-square with your Sagittarius rising. So this full moon is making a T-square with your rising. So I would say, this is more about the next 2 weeks, not 6 months. But I can also say that what happens this next 2 weeks could affect you over the next 6 months. So the things that take place over the next 2 weeks are going to be things that are going to set the precedence for your life for a while. And so with this being Pisces, the moon, and this sitting in your 4th house, there's something that's changed, that's going to change within the dynamics of your household. But also on the other end of this, and being in your 4th and your 10th house, with work. And so something happening on this next 2 weeks probably looks like it's going to be something that just changes things. Do you have a job coming up? Is there something that's going to get you out of your house more than you have been? Or is there going to be Brady being around even more? Because there's something that's happening in here in this process of this full moon that is definitely influencing both your 4th and your 10th house. And it is Virgo and Pisces. And so the tone at the very least is going to be changing around there. but that does set precedence for of the way things can be for a while, because it has lasting effects that go beyond just this. But ultimately, this is about these next 2 weeks for you, Heather. The next 2 weeks. I thought he was about to pay. Sorry. I thought they had this motherfucker about the cave. Little beaches. Anyway, yeah. So what's going on at your house, Heather? See, for me, this is hitting my 6th and my 12th house. The sun is in my 12th house, and the moon is in my 6th house. Conjunct to Neptune in my 6th house. Oh, shit. That just scared the shit out of me. But yeah. Journalist 26, what's up? He said, you have Pluto in your 2nd house. How does this affect your self-esteem and your values? I think it goes over a drastic change throughout your life, you know. And once you can separate your self-esteem from your financial situation, that's going to be a big help for you. But you're just going to go through some, you know, Pluto represents where we go in the house placement, where we go through the most intense changes in our life. And so in the 2nd house, materially, this is where you can see a person go from rags to riches, or riches to rags, or both. And eventually y'all get to the point where y'all's money problems kind of take care of themselves. But that doesn't mean you're going to stop worrying about money, because that's always going to be something that's at the back of your mind. But when you can stop associating your material situation with your self-esteem, things will get better for you, because money has been a sensitive issue to you for your whole life, sometimes even an embarrassment. And so because of that, you've developed a certain mindset. And so there's going to be lots of things that have to change in that process of all of that. So yeah. Heather, you should know I'm the best. You forget I'm one of the coldest motherfuckers that's ever breathing. And I've got this full moon conjunct my Jupiter right now, so my gift of understanding is. But yeah, Pluto in that 2nd house means that, yeah, your self-esteem and your self-worth is going to go through some drastic changes, but that's because you're going to stop connecting it so closely with your material worth, or what you own, or what you have, or what you want. But your financial situation is going to go through some major changes throughout your life also. Pluto's in my first house. It's transiting my fourth house right now. It's transiting my old fourth. And the way that I run my household has changed drastically since Pluto's been here in my fourth house. But Pluto's been in my fourth house for like 10 years now. So I've moved and things have happened, but I've also seen the way that I approach parenting and my life really, really changed because I've stopped identifying so closely with how I was raised personally. And so as much as when I was young, it was like, hey, I'm raising my kids this way because this is how I was raised. I've also had to learn that I wasn't raised right. And so a lot of things that I learned or I tried to employ with my children are not applicable to this day. And so I've had to change that. And then I've also seen my mindset change about it, period. And the dynamics in my household have changed. You know. Because I've changed. I've changed, buddy. How would I describe somebody with their big three? Leo sun, Pisces moon, Virgo rising. An amazing actor. I would say they have a lot of imagination and they play many different roles in many different people's lives, but they have a lot of charisma. They have a lot of creative prowess. I mean, some really awesome creative talent, but they're also perfectionists and they're very particular about who they fuck with. And they also have a tendency to idealize everybody. So they're an enigma. With Leo sun, Pisces moon, Virgo rising, you have to look at that Pisces being in the 7th house. And so I'm not sure if their moon is in the 7th house because it could fall in the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th, depending on what their 7th house looks like and the size of it. But with the Leo sun, like, they got a lot of charisma. They are a type of person who looks at every chance as an opportunity to present themselves. They have very high standards for themselves, but sometimes they have impossible standards for other people. They develop unrealistic expectations of what other people can offer for them in their lives or who the people are in their lives. But they themselves, they do have something that kind of grabs at you. And if their sun is in the 12th house, like they have the quiet, simmering charisma. See, I have a son that's a Virgo rising, Leo sun. And he's the least Leo seeming like person that you'll know unless you know him. Like, he is very confident. He is, but he's calm, he's quiet, he's not boisterous, he's not bold. He's very quiet. He's just kind of there in a way that is very comforting. And he's not really playful, but he has this charisma about him that's like simmering there under the surface. I love my Neptune. I have Neptune in the 3rd house, but I love Neptune in the 3rd house. I think Neptune in the 3rd house is one of the best placements for Neptune. It really helps with your imagination. It really helps in dealing with people, but it is hard to focus. I have Uranus and Neptune in the 3rd house, and so I do have trouble focusing sometimes, but I also have a lot of intuition. I have a lot of empathy. I have a natural level of understanding. I have creative gifts. You said, does my son walk into places like he owns it already? No. No. He's kind of shy. He, what's the word for him? Well, the Leo I see in him is because it's the 12th house, is he does not want to be embarrassed. He doesn't do anything that's going to embarrass him or get him in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to get in trouble because he doesn't want to get embarrassed in front of anybody. Like, I'll even tell y'all this. I haven't done it in years, but even when I used to spank my kids, like, it was different for him. Like, he's probably only got 4 spankings in his whole life, and he's 15, and I stopped 5 years ago. My other son has probably gotten 500 ass whoopings. My other one has probably gotten 200. But he's probably only gotten 5 because it's just different for him. It breaks his spirit. There's something in him that, like, he's to bow down to somebody. That Leo in him is to be bent over, for somebody to bend you over their knee, or to spank you and make you bend over, or to embarrass you in front of your friends, or to, you know, like, that's something that's very fucked up to him. Like, he's very prideful. He does not want to be embarrassed doing anything. Sometimes that stops him, though. He doesn't want to get embarrassed, or so he won't try. So, like, you know, it just keeps him from reaching his full potential because he's so worried about being embarrassed. Journalist 26 said 500 is crazy. You don't know my son. He's a Libra sun, Gemini moon, Capricorn rising. But he is... he's bad as fuck. I don't like to label kids bad because they hear that and then that puts something into them, and that's what they did to me when I was a kid. But, like, he's my son, right? And I have 3 sons. I have 2 daughters also, but he's the opposite. His brother's a Gemini moon. The one I was just speaking on is a Gemini moon. He's a Leo sun, Gemini moon, Virgo rising, but he's introspective. He's a different side of Gemini. He's very introspective, and he's always watching and paying attention to his environment. He's soaking everything up. Now, the other one is a socialite, and he's mischievous, and his brain, if you're not paying attention to him, his brain is going to go on doing the wrong thing first. He has Mars and Venus in Scorpio too, so that might have something to do with it. But this is just me knowing my child. He's very sweet. He's very respectful. He's the most affectionate out of all of my children. But he is the type of person that if you're not constantly on him or paying attention to him, his mind is going to go to being mischievous, or he's going to start doing the wrong thing. You know, he's going to lie. He's going to cheat. He's going to, like, playing, he just from when he's a little kid playing board games. Like, he's going to lie, he's going to cheat, and he's going to steal. Like, and so you just got to watch him. Like, he's a person, and eventually he'll develop his own integrity. But that's what Capricorn risings do. But that's going to take some time. But he ultimately is just like, he is a mess. He's so sweet. He's so sociable. But my middle son, like, he is a mess. He gets in trouble. He's had the police at our house 1,000,000 fucking times, and he's only fucking about to be 14. Like, he's just like that. He's very mischievous, and he's very just in the way that he thinks. Like, he's a motherfucker. Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, he's just very, because like I said, you don't want to call your kids bad. I already did. But he's bad. I was bad too, so I know he's the most like me out of all of my kids. But that little sucker is bad. Is bad news. My baby son, he's a Pisces rising, Aquarius sun, Virgo moon, and in true Aquarius fashion, he just don't listen. Like, he's very polite, and he'll say yes sir and no sir, and the one that was just in here, Junior, and he's sweet in a way. He doesn't say I love you. Neither one of my oldest or my youngest do. But he is not gonna listen. He's an Aquarius. Like, he's gonna do whatever you tell him not to do, he's still gonna do it. He's gonna say yes sir and no sir, yes ma'am and no ma'am, and then he's still gonna just do that shit. He does what he wants. And he got a whole bunch of whoopings because what is he used to just, this was back in the day, he got a whole bunch of whoopings because he was just like a little baby that was like always taking stuff apart. When he was little, he'd take stuff apart. Like, you done took our fucking doorknobs apart in our house and lost the screws like at 2 years old. And he used to just do stuff like that and just. But like I said, he's 9. They haven't gotten a spanking since 2020 probably, so almost 5 years. I just changed my philosophy on that. You know, as I was going through my spiritual awakening, I kind of realized that when you're spanking your kids, as much as you might have been taught that was appropriate when you were young, it's not, because it's not disciplining them as you think it is. It's punishing them. And it's teaching them to be afraid. It's not teaching them that what they were doing was wrong. It's teaching them that they need to be scared of you hurting them. You get what I'm saying? Like, you get to a point where you realize, like, that's just not right. Like, they're not afraid even when you're babies and you smack their hand, they don't want to get their hand smacked. It's not because they don't want to do that behavior. So talking to someone and teaching them what's right and what's wrong and helping them develop a moral code and integrity is important. But teaching them to be afraid of you hitting them because they did something you didn't want them to do is wrong. And so that's something, as I was going through my spiritual awakening, that I realized, like, you're not teaching them discipline like you think you are, like your parents thought they were teaching you. What you are ultimately teaching them is to be afraid of your reaction to things. And that's why they start being sneaky and living and doing things behind your back, because they're afraid of your reaction. And so what you want to do is develop a rapport with your children to where they trust you and to where they trust your judgment. And so that's kind of what I did. And, you know, one of my proudest moments is I just said, hey, it's about doing the right thing, son. And my son said, I know, you always do. And he didn't know me before me being his dad, but that meant something to me. He was like, and then I did something for somebody, and he said, I did something and I gave something to somebody or helped him out, and I said, you know why I did that? And he said, because you're you. He said, because you're you, and that meant something to me. But yeah, I have Mars in Capricorn in the 4th house. Don't get it twisted. Before I changed, I was tearing that ass up. Like, I was raised a certain way with structure and with discipline in my household. What I thought was discipline. Anyway, what I thought was discipline. And that shit just wasn't right. My stepdad used to whoop the shit at it before he started beating me, because he eventually started beating me. But before he started beating me, he used to tear me up. My grandmother used to tear me up. Like, my grandmother would be on you with a switch, and then my stepdad used to say, you want a switch or you want the belt? And when he said the belt, he's talking about a Civil War reenactment belt. Like a leather belt probably about this thick. Because he was a Buffalo soldier. He did Civil War Spanish War reenactments. So much so that he was in a movie called Rough Riders, where he played a Buffalo soldier in the movie. But he works at the fort there in Texas where he lives, and he dresses up like I forgot which one it is. It's the 10th Cavalry, I think. But he dresses up like the Buffalo soldiers. And so he would whoop the shit out of me with that fucking belt. And I mean, tear my ass up. And I never stopped being bad. But what I started doing was being scared of the ass whooping so much that I became dishonest. What I started doing was trying to wear extra underwear and shit, because I know I was going to be bad. But I didn't want that ass whooping. You get what I mean? I remember one time I had on like 6 pairs of drawers. The shit didn't help none. I was like, man, I got these 6 pairs of drawers on. This motherfucker ain't finna get me today. And he tore my ass up. And so I was raised in with a certain way. Like to this day, my kids still have chores in a way that a lot of people's kids don't. Like my boys have about 30, 45 minutes of chores every night that they gotta get. Thank God there's 3 of them, because if it was just one of them, they'd be doing it. But that's how my daughters did it. Like there's something that's to be said for that, is about having a household with structure and children that understand their responsibilities and understand the responsibility of doing things right. But as a parent, you also have to start understanding that the way you were raised is probably something that you need to reassess, because ultimately you might accepted things because you learned to idealize how things were, but there's also a perfect opportunity for you to take the good things that you've learned and discard those other things. So yeah. I just more or less have to look at it differently. Hold up, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do for dinner. Is my Cash App still pinned? I need a few more of y'all to hit that Cash App. Hit that super sticker, that super thanks, that super chat. We've been in here doing our motherfucking thing. Releasing for the full moon, even if it has to be trauma. We releasing it. Damn, she says I have to figure out dinner. But yeah. And I can even look at it from a cultural perspective. I'm gonna be honest. On my black side, we got our ass whooped. I'm talking about my cousins, myself, we got our ass tore. My Aunt Becky, or her Rebecca, my Aunt Rebecca, she'll whoop her kids so bad she'll faint. She'll get so worked up whooping them kids, she'll faint. I remember my cousin Amber was so bad she would be no, and Letitia, but they be, man, my mama gonna faint. You understand? My mama gonna faint. Hopefully she does while she tearing this ass up. She gonna get so worked up that she has to lay down. Right? And so my white cousins, they didn't get whoopings. They got time out. And we make jokes about it in the black community, but that shit is racist. But I'll tell you this. Most of my black cousins ended up in prison, doing nothing. Not just because of how society conditioned them, but because they themselves didn't develop integrity. They were raised in fear. And so they learned how to use fear as control in other situations of their life. And they learned that hitting people was something that was an appropriate response for behavior that was undesirable. Where my cousins on my other side, pardon me, on my mom's side, they sat there. Time out was a time for them to have introspection, to think about the choices that they made that put them there. You know, and so that right there allowed them to develop a conscience. And all of them are successful. There's one Dauphine, but all of them are successful. and they was raised in the same town in the same circumstances. The opportunities were different because that is just the truth. But it also made me really take an introspective look at how I want to address the situation. Now, I don't put my kids in timeout, but I do ground them. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. We got about 20 more minutes and then we out. So does anybody else have anything they want to discuss? I might be here tomorrow. My son is going to be here, obviously sick now. He can't go to school with his eyes like that. So I'll be here with my baby. We'll see what happens. If I can't come live, I will. I need to make my YouTube quota as far as money, so I might have to. But I also might just focus on my son for a day. So we'll see. We will see. Any advice for Mars in the 12th house? Man. With Mars in the... See, my lady has Mars in the 12th house, and she shuts down. This is what I noticed with Mars in the 12th house. Besides what I know from reading astrology books and from taking classes, what I've seen with Mars in the 12th house, it doesn't matter the sign, it's something that they do is shut down, but they also have this capability of getting inspired in a way that nobody else can. So they can get discouraged and they can shut down, or things can get so complicated for them or so frustrated for them that they just fucking stop. But you can also see in some people with Mars in the 12th house, they can just get inspired. They can bond with something inside of themselves that just inspires them, that they can go against the greatest of odds for the longest amount of time, and they can do amazing things. They can manifest amazing things with Mars in the 12th house, but they can also just fucking shut the fuck down and make things harder than they have to be. Like, and she has Mars in Pisces in the 12th house. So yeah. And let me, I need to answer your inquiry. Is it Asia or Asia? The first one or the second one? I understand. I can see how you spell it. I need to know how to pronounce it. Is it Asia? Asia? Or Asia? Cattleheart said Moon, Mars, Saturn, and Pluto in the 12th house, all in Scorpio. You're secretive. You're sneaky. You also have a toxicity that you're really good at hiding. You know how to put on a happy face and smile, but you also have this darkness inside of you. You have this fucking chaos deep inside of you from the trauma of the things that you experienced growing up, and you have a lot of fucking secrets that weigh on your motherfucking soul. Journalist 26. My lady has Mars in the 12th house, and she loves TV, like old school TV shows. But she watches a lot of fucking TV. I cannot watch that much TV. I only really watch YouTube, and every now and then I have like a few shows that I watch if she can get me to watch them. Like I watched Umbrella Academy. I watched Lovecraft Country. That was years ago, but I watch it again. I love Lovecraft Country. It's the best show that was ever created. I watch. I'm trying to think what else. The Boys, Project V. I watched Fallout. I watched Titans, you know, like Teen Titans, but for the live action version. I watched Manifest, Shameless, Walking Dead. You know, I love the whole Walking Dead universe. Stranger Things, of course, just because my family likes it. I watched some of it. I mean, I've watched all of it, but yeah, Stranger Things. I watched Vice Principals. I watched The Righteous Gemstones. I watch The Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings series. I watched the Interview with the Vampire series, even though they fucked that whole shit up. I just said I watched The Rings of Power. I just said I watched The Rings of Power. I do watch The Rings of Power. No, I don't watch Game of Thrones or House of Dragons. My lady does, but I don't watch that shit. So no, I'm not that type of person. I don't like Interview with the Vampire because they made it. I don't like the personality, but they made it too sexual. I will say this: all of Anne Rice's vampires are kind of gay, but not in that way. Like Louis is not gay with Lestat. Lestat is his teacher and his comrade. And vampires can't have sex in her books. It's not sexual. They can be in love with each other, and they are. But in Anne Rice's books, vampires cannot have sex. They have communion with the blood. It's about drinking from each other and sharing the blood. Everything is about the blood. Like there's a specific passage in Pandora where she says that after they turn vampires, she would just want Marius to put his thing inside of her so they could sleep just because that's what's normal feeling, but they get no sexual pleasure in that way. Their love, their lust is for the blood. You understand? But I do love Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles is my favorite series of books. I've read all of them. I'm specifically enamored with Memnoch the Devil and Tale of the Body Thief, Memnoch the Devil, Blood and Gold, Pandora, Lestat, Prince Lestat, and Prince Lestat in the Realms of Atlantis. But in this series, this Interview with the Vampire series, they made them too sexual. And I'm not a fan of people redoing things the way they want to do it to fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Connect with the culture. I don't like that shit. I don't like them. Even being black, I don't like them blackwashing everything. I don't like them making everything sexual or homosexual. I just don't like that shit. And everybody knows I love all people, but it's like there's an agenda that I don't like. If something was organic, it'd be cool, but there's an agenda that's ridiculous. Like when I'm watching Rings of Power, I don't want to see a whole bunch of black ass elves. All right, like I like my Lord of the Rings. I explore that on my white side. I don't know where they got all these niggas from. I use the Lord of the Rings to explore my white side. Now they got a whole bunch of nigga elves and trolls. And then on the interview with the vampire, Lestat is bisexual. Louis is not. Louis is a and then they changed him to a black person when Louis is a plantation owner. It is central to his story. He is a plantation owner who owned slaves. The slaves in his story are a part of his story. That's who Louis is. Louis de Pontellec, or however you say his name, Pontellec. He is from New Orleans. Like, that's the truth. Lestat is bisexual. He does everything, but Lestat falls in love with everybody. And it's not about sex. It's about Lestat being enamored with human beings. And so that's why he turns everybody. He falls in love and he becomes connected with them. When it comes to Armand, which was Antonio Banderas' character, and now in this new character they made him Indian. When they actually have an Indian, like there is a Middle Eastern vampire. Like they don't need to make Armand Middle Eastern or Indian. Like they have Indian vampires. You get what I'm saying? Like I'll go on a whole rant about this shit. There's no point in doing that. And Armand is gay. Armand was put through a fucking blood sex ritual through Marius. And Marius is a child molester. Marius got Armand when he was 14, 15 years old and basically groomed him and then fucking sexed him up and turned him into a vampire. There's things that are central to these stories. So yeah, I don't like when they do that shit. I'm real. Like with Chloe Bailey, her voice was perfect for Ariel. And Ariel is a vampire. Not a vampire, a mermaid, pardon me. So there's no way of telling what her race is. So they weren't wrong with that. But so there is other stuff that they be just straight up wrong for doing. So yeah. I ain't never liked any other vampires. I just like Anne Rice's vampire books. I watch the show because it's connected to the books, but I don't like Twilight or True Blood or any of that shit. I watch The Interview with the Vampire because it's connected to my very favorite series of books. I fucking love those books. So does anybody have anything they want to say before we come? It's been one of those days. And it's perfectly fine. Yesterday was kind of like this too, but this Pisces moon might have people more introspective. They might be analyzing things. So yeah, it's definitely the opportunity to do so. For any of y'all that are interested in any astrological readings, don't get at me in these comments. Get at me in my email, which is mr.turner1300@gmail.com. That's MR period TURNER 1300@gmail.com. And Heather, if you want me to look at transits for you, you know all you gotta do is get at me when you got the time and the money, and we will look at these transits coming up for you for now and for in a month or for in 6 months, and we'll really see what the fuck is going on. For any of y'all that want natal chart readings, I do natal chart readings. If you want synastry, which is what you were calling a love reading, there's that. If you want numerology, I have numerology. If you want a solar return reading, I can do a solar return reading. If you want transit consultations, I can do a transit reading for you. If you just want an hour to talk about astrology and look at things together while we're on the phone, I offer hour-long blocks of consultations. I offer all of my readings in all three of audio recording and phone call and Zoom form. I'm also looking to take on one more apprentice, but I'm warning you, that's not cheap, it's priceless. And I have successful apprentices that are now starting their own practices that can definitely vouch for that program. I started out by saying it's an 11-week program, but that's not realistic. It takes a little bit longer than that. But there are 11 lessons. You understand? There are 11 lessons. And then we'll do reading sessions together in between there so that we make sure that you're understanding things and you're developing your own perspective. Because I don't want you to read charts the way I read charts. I'm going to tell you how, but I want you to develop your own understanding. All right? And so that's something that is once in a lifetime opportunities, because I'm not always going to take apprentices and I'm not always going to be around. And some people want me to have classes for everybody, and that might even be more lucrative. But no, on our apprenticeship program, we would meet once a week through Zoom, so face-to-face on camera. And of course, I'll share slides with you, or I'll send you material that we're going to look at together, and then we're going to go through, and I'm going to teach you first the anatomy of a birth chart, teach you what everything is supposed to look like and how it goes, and then through that, we'll go through all of the placements and all of the aspects and you learning how to read that motherfucker. And we'll do it together. So send me an email if you're interested. So yeah, I love y'all. Is there anything you need to say before we go? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'll try to be here tomorrow, but I can't guarantee it. I need to make sure my baby is okay. We'll go from there, but I might. Maybe that Aries moon tomorrow will spruce y'all up, because we'll still be in the full moon cycle, but the moon will be in Aries tomorrow. So maybe that'll have y'all kind of a little more active. That's what you need. I'm always more active on an Aries moon. Even though I'm a Pisces moon, when that moon hits Aries, I feel it. For real, for real. So I definitely need the business. All we got is time and opportunity. So I love y'all. We're out.